welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 9-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into the video, quick reminder, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. That way you don't miss any future content that I upload. It is free, it takes 2 seconds to do, and it greatly does help me. If you're enjoying the content, if you could just take a second to leave that like, it does go a long way, so greatly appreciate that. If you are getting very serious about MLB DFS or NFL DFS, I do offer premium packages. That's linked below in the description. You get access to all the same tools that I use when building my own DFS lineups. And if you're playing NFL DFS, go ahead and check out my other content on the channel. Just released my final picks video. And with all of that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down the slate today. So as always, I'd like to go ahead. Oh, and lastly, don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. If you're new to the channel, every video I give a home run call fan favorite segment. Been on a roll with those all season long. Stay tuned to the end of the video. You'll be wanting to stay for that. So, go ahead and sort my sheet by K rate. As always, it's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. And the top guy on the slate today is going to be Corbin Burnes taking on the New York Mets. He comes in with a 35.5% K overall, a 16.6 swinging strike rate, 36.5% K rate to righties, and a 34.6% K rate to lefties. Very good across the board and very good in the hard contact, slugging, ground ball categories as well. Has been a great pitcher all season long. And tonight he gets to take on a New York Mets team that only has a 2.97 implied total. He's a 222.4 favorite, so he's expected to get the win pretty easily here. And we're looking at his price on DraftKings. He comes in at 10.6. Has been very effective his last 2 starts, 14 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts, 8 innings pitched, 6 innings pitched with 115 pitches and 101 pitches. So this guy is the definition of a workhorse pitcher. When you factor in the Vegas lines, factor in that he's such a huge favorite, definitely going to be making a lot of sense on this slate today. Second on the list, we have Robbie Ray taking on the Minnesota Twins. He comes in with a 32.8% K overall, a 15.8 swinging strike rate, 32.9% K rate to righties, and a 32.3% K rate to lefties. So another guy that has very good K stuff. And taking on a Minnesota team tonight that definitely has their fair share of strikeouts in their lineup. No Vegas lines released yet, but this is in Minnesota. Definitely a decent pitching ballpark to be pitching in. He's 10.8 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's priced at 10.4, and he's definitely going to be the other guy you're going to want to be taking a look at. He's also a workhorse guy, 101 pitches and 97 pitches his last 2 times out, 13 strikeouts against the Rays and 5 strikeouts. And I mean, it's not as if the Rays are exactly a pushover matchup, so it's definitely going to be a much better matchup for him this go-around. So definitely going to have interest in Robbie Ray as well at the top. Clayton Kershaw taking on the Diamondbacks has a great matchup. He has a 16.8 swinging strike rate. That's top on the slate today. 30.6% K rate against, 30.6% K rate overall, 31.2% K rate to righties, and a 29% K rate to lefties. Good ground ball, fly ball stuff. If anything, he can give up a little bit of slugging to righties at times. But you can't ask for a much better matchup taking on this Arizona Diamondbacks team, who's just really not that talented up and down. They only have a 3.28 implied run total. He is a 240 favorite. And, you know, he's going to be right up there along with these other guys. Lance Lynn taking on the Cleveland Indians, probably my favorite from a matchup aspect of anyone we've talked about so far. Doesn't have quite the same numbers as far as strikeout rate, but he does have a 27.8% K rate overall, a 29.9% K rate to righties, and a 25.7% K rate to lefties. So we do greatly prefer to target him against right-handed heavy lineups, if at all possible. His strikeout rate does definitely climb against those righties. And when you're looking at the Cleveland lineup that they're expected to roll out tonight, you can see quite a few righties in there. I mean, there's a lefty here and there blended in with Ramirez, Bobby Bradley, Bradley Zimmer, and Jimenez, but it's not as if their talent's all that great. This Cleveland Indians lineup is pretty watered down. He's a 187 favorite. They only have a 3.61 implied run total. And as mentioned, I just think this is a great matchup overall. The Cleveland Indians do not scare me. So he's definitely a guy you can be looking to in this upper range. You know what, taking on the Padres, that's a tough matchup. They really don't strike out a lot. I'm not going to have too much interest in him. Same for Gallen taking on the Dodgers. I don't really think it's necessary to go to him. John Gray taking on the Giants. No thank you. And the next guy to be looking to is probably Tyler Anderson taking on the Angels. I continue to target the Angels. I say it in like every video, but it's just true. There's some of these teams that traded away their whole team, or they're watered down at this point, or they're just striking out a tremendous amount, and the Angels are one of those teams. Don't get me wrong, Anderson doesn't have the most impressive strikeout stuff, but he does have really good walk rates and hard contact rates with only a 5.3% walk rate, a 28.7% hard contact rate. He has a 21% K rate against righties and a 16.5% K rate to lefties. He does get burned by some righty power sometimes, but I just am not worried about this Angels team whatsoever. They only have a 4.16 implied run total. I think that tells you all that you need to know. It's not as if Tyler Anderson is an elite pitcher, and the fact that they have that low of an implied run total, I think, speaks volumes as to why we can have interest here. He's 8.5 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they've got him priced at 7.5. And when looking at his recent performances, you can see 4, 5, and 7 strikeouts the last 3 times out. He's been right around 90 pitches or so, and 1 and 1 earned run the last 2 times, 4 earned runs the previous times against Houston. When you're looking at his matchups, Oakland, Boston, Houston, all pretty difficult matchups. So this is probably the best one of, I should say probably, this is definitely the best one out of all the ones that he's had recently. So I think that Tyler Anderson is going to make a lot of sense if you need to go to a guy that can save you some salary. And if you want my kind of gross play of the day, it would probably be Chris Ellis taking on the Texas Rangers. The Rangers lineup's just really bad. It's not as if Chris Ellis, once again, is an elite talent. Really bad in the ground ball, fly ball stuff, but he is good in hard contact rate. And it's just really a matter of the fact that the Texas Rangers are a really bad lineup, but they only have a 4.37 implied total here. Ellis is 6.9 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they've got him priced at 6.6. Really, the only question is his pitch count, and he's been able to work his way up to 92, 91, and 84 pitches the last few times out. Keeping these teams to 0, 1, 2 earned runs, and it wasn't as if they were easy matchups either. The Yankees twice and the Toronto Blue Jays, all 3 matchups. The Yankees and Blue Jays have some very talented lineups, so I think that Chris Ellis could maybe make some sense as well. Not exactly a household name, but I think he can maybe get the job done for you on this slate today if you want to go to my kind of gross play that's going to be low on that people will be too scared to click on. He makes some sense to me. And with that being said, let's go to transition over to bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, scale on our active ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher's been so far in the season and how good they're expected to be in the future. And the worst on the slate is going to be Chris Ellis, the guy we just talked about. But he only has a 2.39 ERA. The Texas Rangers lineup's really bad. He hasn't been giving up that much slugging. It's really just been fly balls. Honestly, I just have a really hard time promoting this Texas squad right now. The Orioles pitching staff's terrible. The bullpen's terrible. I just think Ellis can go deep in this game. And I probably won't be going to the Rangers. That's just the fact of the matter. John Gant taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. He has pretty good ground ball, fly ball stuff. His hard contact stuff's not that bad. Only a 346 slugging given up to righties, a 361 slugging given up to lefties. Really, his issue was his walk rate. He has a very bad walk rate issue, a 12.8% walk rate to righties, a 17.1% walk rate to lefties. So that's why his Sierra is dipping down so bad. And don't get me wrong, if you're walking hitters against this Blue Jays lineup, there's going to be traffic on the bases, and with how deep this lineup is, that can really definitely cause some issues. And the Twins bullpen's pretty bad as well. So I think that the Blue Jays definitely make for a valid stack tonight. George Springer, Marcus Semien, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Teoscar Hernandez, Alejandro Kirk, Corey Dickerson definitely make a lot of sense to me. And like I said, if they can work some pitch counts, get John Gant out of this game, the Twins bullpen that's going to follow is quite bad. So the Blue Jays definitely making some sense. Jaime Barria taking on the Seattle Mariners. This is a guy I've liked to target in DFS for years. He's really bad. Ground ball, fly ball, hard contact stuff's terrible. A 46 slugging to righties, a 456 slugging to lefties. Has actually been a little bit better against lefties, but overall, I just think this guy's terrible. And the Seattle Mariners don't exactly have the most loaded lineup in the world. They probably should be pretty low owned here. And I think we could take advantage of some Jaime Barria and Angels bullpen action here. J.P. Crawford, Ty France, Kyle Seager, Mitch Haniger, Jared Kelenic, Abraham Toro, Jake Fraley, has a bunch of power, Dylan Moore, Cal Riley. I ironically like the Mariners a lot tonight, so that's something to take note of because they're a team we're not usually targeting all too heavily. Like them for sure. My favorite option, it's not a hot take, would be Kyle Seager in the 3 spot. Mitch Haniger, 3 and 4 hitters would make the most sense in this stack for sure. Vladimir Gutierrez taking on the Washington Nationals, another guy that struggled pretty much on the season for the most part. He has had some flashes of greatness, but also has had some flashes of not so good. A 429 slugging to righties, a 510 slugging to lefties. Especially against lefties, he has been very bad. Looking at the Washington implied total tonight, they only have a 4.32 implied total, so not exactly expected to blow this guy up. And Gutierrez is priced right now on DraftKings at 8.2. Looking at some of his recent performances, the last 2 times out, he's been back to kind of the bad version. He had a stretch there of only, there was 1 earned run, there was 1, 2, 1, 1 earned run. He was really looking good for quite some time. Now back to 4 and 5 earned runs the last 2 times out. Hasn't been pitching nearly as deep into these games. And the Washington Nationals definitely are going to be in a good hitting environment here in Cincinnati, the Great American Ballpark. We like to call it the Great American Small Park because the home runs are definitely few and far in between. Great hitting environment. And I definitely have no issues with you going to the national stack tonight, honestly, especially if they're going to be low owned, especially with guys like Juan Soto, Josh Bell in the middle of this order, plenty of power, Luis Garcia, Carter Kieboom, the young talent, Andrew Stevens in the bottom of the order. I don't hate it. Not my favorite stack by any means, but I definitely think it's a spot that we could be looking to for sure. Jordan Lyles taking on the Baltimore Orioles. You want to talk about a guy that's been bad? Jordan Lyles is definitely that guy. Worse on the slate as far as hard contact rate, with a 39.1% hard contact rate overall. A 521 slugging given up to righties and a 492 slugging given up to lefties, especially against lefties. The guy's just terrible. I mean, he's terrible across the board, to be honest. But the Baltimore Orioles are definitely a stack that I would be looking to tonight. Probably won't get any ownership, especially at the top of the order. Cedric Mullins, Ryan Mountcastle, Austin Hayes, Trey Mancini, Pedro Severino. That 1 through 5 would be really what I'm locking in on. The bottom of the lineup continues to be really gross. Ryan McKenna, Patrick Velika, Richie Martin, Kelvin Gutierrez. But we do have some pitching that we want to pay up for on this slate, and those guys can maybe allow you to get up to them, get a contrarian stack. I would definitely be locked in at the top of the order. I mean, Cedric Mullins, I mentioned the hard contact rate against lefties in Camden Yards in Baltimore, which is a great ballpark to be targeting, especially down that right field line to left-handed hitters. Plays very friendly, and I think Cedric Mullins is definitely an elite play tonight at the top of this order. Eli Morgan taking on the Chicago White Sox. Ground ball, fly ball stuff terrible. Hard contact stuff terrible. A 522 slugging given up to righties. A 512 slugging given up to lefties. And he has to take on a Chicago White Sox lineup tonight that's absolutely loaded. So out of all the teams we talked about so far, I mean, the White Sox definitely piqued my interest. Tim Anderson, Yon Moncada, Jose Abreu, Yasmani Grandal, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Larry Garcia, Gavin Sheets, Cesar Hernandez. I feel great about playing any bat in this lineup, really. Up and down, there's 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to right field. Take that for what you will, targeting the left-handed bats and Grandal, Moncada, the ones that are going to pull. Gavin Sheets, the power in the 8th spot. I definitely like this lineup for sure. And, I mean, the guys' fly ball rates against lefties are really bad. So those lefties make a lot of sense to me for sure, especially with that wind blowing out. I'm going to like that. As far as the Cleveland ballpark's concerned and hitting environment, pulling that diagram up for you guys as I always do. Green down the right field line. So Progressive Field, always a great place to be targeting left-handed hitters. So those lefties make a lot of sense to me tonight. Everything kind of checks the box there. And I like the White Sox stack overall for sure. Tyler Anderson taking on the Angels. We mentioned you could target him with the right-handed power. The Angels don't really have a lot of right-handed power. I'm not really getting all too interested to target anyone. My favorite bats would be Jack Mayfield, Phil Gosselin, and Max Stassi. They're all righties that crush lefties pretty well. So if you want to go to those 3 guys as one-offs, if you need some salary, wouldn't call you crazy. Other than that, not getting too interested. Rich Hill taking on Milwaukee. He's been pretty bad overall with a 451 slugging given to righties. Lots of lefties. He is very good. He's left-handed hurler himself, so we really just want to target him with the right-handed power for the most part. And this Milwaukee Brewers lineup definitely does have a few guys we could be looking to, and Willie Adames, Abigail Garcia, Eduardo Escobar, Luis Arias, Tyrone Taylor, Manny Pena, all those guys. And then, of course, the lefties can maybe be contrarian with Christian Yelich and Colton Wong. Maybe they don't have the greatest at-bats against Hill, but they're able to get him out of the game early, get to that Mets bullpen, and some of the worst arms in that bullpen if they can get up some runs on the board early. And then those lefties, if you can get them out lower ownership, could really pop off for you. So that'd be my strategy there. John Gray in Colorado taking on the San Francisco Giants lineup is going to be a no from me. A 412 slugging given up to righties, a 382 slugging given up to lefties. Honestly, his numbers across the board have been pretty good. It's just this San Francisco Giants lineup is loaded, and when you're factoring in that they get such a huge ballpark upgrade, I mean, they play in one of the worst hitting environments in baseball, and then they get to go to Coors Field. When you're targeting a lineup that's like that, some of these guys' numbers aren't going to look that great. You just have to keep in mind, they play in San Francisco. I mean, they're playing in one of the worst hitting environments. Now they get to go into the best hitting environment in Colorado Rockies Coors Field. And when you're putting bats that aren't used to having that environment in that environment, their numbers can inflate real quick. So let's just say that. And I definitely like this Giant stack. Goes without saying. I'm sure they'll have plenty of ownership, but they should. Tommy La Stella, Brandon Belt, Buster Posey, Lamonte Wade, Chris Bryant, Brandon Crawford, Evan Longoria, Mike Yastrzemski. This lineup's ridiculously deep. I mean, Mike Yastrzemski in the 8th spot that speaks volumes. There's a lot of teams around the league that could use Mike Yastrzemski in their 1 through 4 spots. So the fact that he's in the 8th spot, I definitely have interest in this Giants lineup. And as I stated in the last video, and as I'll continue to state with a lineup this deep, you can be playing guys towards the bottom of the lineup. If they're not going to get the same ownership as the guys at the top, it's a very easy way to get different. These guys should get plenty of at-bats. The lineup should turn over plenty of times. The Rockies' bullpen's terrible. Don't be afraid to play guys at the bottom of the lineup. That's what I would be doing in tournaments. Eric Fetty taking on the Cincinnati Reds. He's pretty easy to break down. A 420 slugging given up to righties. A 488 slugging given up to lefties. Against lefties, he's definitely interesting to target. He's not a pushover by any means, but he can be a little bit matchup dependent. Like Eric Buddy's a guy that I like to target against weak lineups, but against stronger lineups, I like to target him with bats. So if that makes sense, I'll be willing to play him when he's facing weaker lineups. If he's facing a stronger lineup, I'm willing to stack against him. He's just one of those guys that kind of falls in that category. Jonathan India, Max Schrock, Nick Castellanos, Joey Votto, Kyle Farmer, Eugenio Suarez, Tucker Barnhart, Terry Fidel. Can play all of these bats for sure. They have a 5.18 implied run total. I already mentioned the friendly hitting environment. And red stack definitely does make some sense to me. We have Mr. Anthony DeSclafani in Colorado. He's very easy to break down. Very good against righties. Very bad against lefties. His numbers against lefties have improved this year. I'll give him that much. Overall, not nearly as bad as they have been in years past. But that's really the case when it comes to targeting DeSclafani. You want to go to the lefties. So Tapia, Blackman, Ryan McMahon, Sam Hilliard, Dom Nunez, they would be at the top of my list in this Rocky stack. I'm not afraid to target the righties either. It's Coors Field, but I'm not nearly as interested in the Rocky side as I am the San Francisco side, if we're being frank. So that's where I'd be looking to there. Zach Gallen taking on the Dodgers. Always a hard matchup. He has a 37% hard contact rate against righties specifically. He's really struggled against lefties. He's been very good. Righties, he has a 45.3% hard contact rate. That's worse on the slate with a 463 slugging given to those righties, and a 10% walk rate. He does have a 29.3% K rate. So it's really going to be a strikeout or a hard hit ball when it comes to those right-handed hitters. When it comes to Zach Gallen, that's just been the story for him all season long. Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Will Smith, Justin Turner, AJ Pollock, all going to have interest in them. And the lefties, I mean, I love targeting lefties in Arizona as well. Arizona, great hitting environment to be targeting. Pulling up the diagram, green across the board, especially down the right field line though. So, the righties that can go opposite field, the lefties that can pull the ball, those are the guys you'd have to have interest in. And let's be honest, it's the Dodgers lineup. It's just stacked. We're going to have interest in them every night. And one thing I don't want to forget to mention is if they can get Gallen out of this game, the Diamondbacks bullpen is terrible. Keep that in mind. A lot of guys, when they play MLB DFS, they don't think about the bullpens. The bullpens are a thing, so I always bring that up. And yeah, that is my overall breakdown. Those are really the bats I'd be focusing in on tonight. You can make an argument for the righties against Huascar Ynoa. The Padres, he has a 412 slugging given up, but the ground ball fly stuff's pretty good, honestly. I'm not getting all too interested in the Padres stack outside of the fact that the Braves bullpen is bad, so that's a thing. Ryan Weathers is listed as the Padres' probable starter here on this page. I don't agree with that. According to DraftKings, we're going to have Pierce Johnson be the opener and Craig Stammen be the long reliever. Both guys really good. The Padres bullpen's really good. If that's the case, I'm just not interested in that Braves lineup. If for some reason Weathers is announced the starter, that would completely change the dynamic, and I have interest in all the power righties on Atlanta for sure. So, with that being said, before I let you guys go, got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Yasmani Grandal taking on Eli Morgan in Cleveland. We had mentioned the friendly hitting environment over there with 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to right field. Eli Morgan's splits against lefties have been terrible all season long. We got the friendly porch in Cleveland down the right field line. Everything matches up very well. A 512 slugging given up to righties, 38% hard contact rate, 348 WOBA with a 58.6% fly ball rate. Only walks those lefties at a 4.5% clip and only strikes them out at a 17.9% clip. So the ball should be put in play early and often here. And when you're breaking down what he goes to, very reliant on the fastball overall. That fastball sitting at about 91 miles an hour. And Grandal crushes that pitch. A 559 ISO with a 583 WOBA. Love this spot for Yasmani Grandal. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Yasmani Grandal, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, leave your favorite play down below in the comments. And don't forget to check out my NFL DFS content as well. If you're playing NFL DFS, just released my final picks video. Check that out to get you in the green this weekend. Have some great tools going on over there on my premium package as well with the Top Stacks tool. Got some premium ownership now plugged into the spreadsheet, so check it out. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.